discuss the syllabus of steel structure, which we are going to cover. So you see that in module 1 you have to learn the materials, the skill and the specification and the different type of section used in steel structures, the what codes are required, and the different shape of the steel sections that you learn. The structural property as well as the physical property that you have to learn in module 1. Now in module 2 you learn the structural connection. Different connections are used in steel structure, like riveted connection. So generally this connection is obsoleted now. So now the riveted connections are not used, only the weld and bolt connections are used. And the different type of bolted joint and the assumptions and how the failures are how the failure take place. How the joints are failed, and accordingly we design. So how we increase the efficiency of joints, and how we design the bolt and the welding joint for axial load. Another type of connection that is called eccentric connection. So eccentric means when the load applied far from the CG of the connection. So such type of connections are called, like you see that here the one load is applied, so which is here the CG point is the center of gravity point. So load is applied far from the joint. Such connection is called eccentric connection, means the moment is developed. And you see that another is the axial connection. For axial load the connections are made, and another is the eccentric connection, means the moment comes. So how we have to make the connection, so that I shall discuss. And the different type of eccentric connections are used, like bolted joint subjected to torsion, then shear forces, tension and shear design of riveted, bolted and welded connection. So in beam column connection, so basically this connection is called the eccentric connection, and the example of the axial load connection, the truss joint, where the load is transferred axially. So the axial joint connections are made, and in beam column connection is example of eccentric connection. So in third module, and you see that 6 lectures are allotted. Okay, in module 1 that I think it is 2 lectures are allotted, where in module 3 you will learn how the tension members are designed, and what are the IS code provision, what are the permissible stresses, and what are the design rules and the examples. We also work out the different examples of tension member. In module 4 you will learn how the compression members are designed. So here you have to find out the effective length about major axis and minor axis, and what are the IS code provisions are given. IS Indian Standard Code. So basically, in steel design, we are using IS 800 2007 code. So what are the IS code provision, and what are the permissible stresses for different grade of steels, uh, and the design rules, design of components, two components, built up compression member. When the more than one compression members are joined using the plate, so these members are called the built up compression member, which are used in column under axial load, and also built up column under eccentric load. So similarly, the columns, you know that column is a compression member which carry the compressive load under eccentric loading. Eccentric means the moment connection means the load is subjected far from the CG. So that's why the moment is generated, and due to moment you have to design the column. Now another type of the lacing and batten plates are used. So the lacing systems and batten plates are used to increase the compressive strength and to make the built of columns. And when the more than one members are combined, so when the two members are combined, so that time lacing system or batten plates are adopted to get the combined effects. So we learn how the lacing and batten plates are designed in column, and different type of column bases. So where the column, I mean the bottom of the column rest on base plate. So this base plate also designed, and how the base plates are designed, that also you will learn. Then gusseted base and the correction details also you learn. In module 5 you learn how the beams are designed using the permissible stresses in bending as well as compression, tension, design of rolled steel section, plated beams, simple beam end connection, beam column connection, and the IS code provision also required. The module 6, in module 6 you will learn the design of plate girder. So as I have mentioned earlier, the plate girder is basically used in bridge. So how the plate girders are designed, so this is a heavy beam, so how the girders are designed in a truss bridges, so how it designed, so that you have to learn. So as it is a I section, so it has wave part, another is flange part. So how the concept of curtailment of flanges, how the flanges are curtailed, so that also we learn. I mean the tapered sections are basically used. Riveted and welded wave stiffeners. The stiffener are basically used to increase the stiffness and also to prevent the buckling, also to prevent the local failure. So stiffeners are used. Similarly, in wave flange splices are basically plates we are using to increase the strength of flange. So riveted connection and welded connection and bolted connection. So in module 7 you learn the gantry girder. so which are basically used in a factory set where the goods or uh, goods are the goods are transported through gantry girder inside the factory set. So through gantry girder, so how the girders are designed, that also we understand uh, uh, using the, and also we learn the what are the provisions given to design the gantry girders. Next, we recommend few reference textbooks and also the video lectures which is available in net. The first book I recommend, that is Limited Design of Steel Structures. The author is S.K. Duggal and publisher is Tata McGraw-Hill. The second book, which is very standard and the first book first book was published in Design of Steel Structure. The Subramania write this book based on IS 800 2007. So all these two books are written using the Limited method, okay, following the IS 800 2007 code. So I mean the different so lot of books are available in steel design based on working stage method. So those so don't purchase those books which are designed using the working stage method. So you verify whether this book is written using Limited method or not, that you check, because Duggal has also book of design of steel structure using the working stage method. Okay, so this book you don't purchase, don't buy this book. So the book which is based on Limited method, so this book you have to buy. Now the web lectures also available. I mean the department. I mean I have uploaded. I shall upload videos in YouTube, and I send you link so you can download or you can see the lectures. Also the NPTEL lectures available in YouTube, also in NPTEL website. The web course are available, so you can get it. So soft copy also I send, so that you check. And the following textbooks you follow. I mean you have to follow this following textbooks, and also the lectures, video lectures, soft copy also you see. Also you follow. Now what are the reference code? These codes are required when you design the members, when you design the steel members. So those codes are required. So the first code is Code of Practice for General Construction in Steel. So this is a code based on Limited method. So the code number is IS 800, Indian standard. The number is 800, published on 2007. Now the handbook also required, that is SP6. SP means special publication. The number is 6, and it was published on 1964. Again it was reaffirmed 2003. Steel table also available in market, so you can purchase, you can buy the steel tables, you can purchase steel tables of any standard publications. So the books and codes are essential. I mean especially codes are essential to design the steel members. So So the you code and handbook you download or you take a printout. Okay. So this is a IS 800 2007 General Construction in Steel Code of Practice, which is basically based on 2000 Limestad method. This code is based on Limestad method. Okay. Another handbook for structural engineers, SP6 1964. This handbook also required to design the steel structures. So now we learn how the manufacturing process are made to produce to make the steel. So what is the manufacturing process to produce steel? So that we first we learn, because we are using the steel as a structural material, so we have to understand how the steel is manufactured and what type of steels are mainly what type of steels are used in steel structures, and also you must know the property of the steel, the chemical properties, I mean the composition of the steel, as well as the structural property. Okay, so how the steel produced in factory, so you learn that I am going to discuss how the steel is manufactured. So first, iron is extracted from iron ores. So basically iron is not available so it is extracted from iron ores like the hematite, limestone, magnetite in furnace. So from this iron ores the iron is extracted, then oxygen is passed through molten iron to remove carbon and impurities to make steel. So after getting the iron from the iron ore, then oxygen is passed through molten iron, so to remove the carbon and impurities to make steel. Then manganese is added to strengthen the steel. So again the manganese is added, in iron we add some percentage of manganese to strengthen the steel. Again adding chrome, nickel, phosphorus can also used to impart special properties in steel. Now semi-finished products from the machine is hot rolled to different sections like bars, plates, angles, section, etc. Again we add carbon to increase the tensile strength and hardness. So the ductility and toughness, these two properties very important in steel. So these two property basically depend on the percentage of carbon added in iron. So if the building in building we use structural steel which has low carbon of up to 0.1% to have ductility and yield. So we are small percentage of carbons are added to get the ductility and yield, because in building the ductility is required to resist the lateral earthquake forces. So we add small percentage of carbon to get the ductility and yield. So you may so one thing you note, if I use more carbon, then the ductility is reduced but the strength is increased. If the carbon percentage is less, then ductility is increasing whereas strength is reduced. Now the physical, the properties of the structural steel, that you have to learn. What are the properties of the structural steel that you learn when you design the when you design the member, steel members. So this property you need to design the steel members. So the property is unit weight. So unit weight means this is basically a ratio of weight to volume. Okay, the weight to volume ratio is unit weight. The technical term is unit weight. The mass per unit volume, weight per unit volume. So this is 7850 kg per meter cube, which is equal to 78.5 kilonewton per meter cube. And modulus of elasticity given 2 into 10 to the power Newton per millimeter square, which is Newton per millimeter square means the MPa. So 1 Newton per millimeter square is equal to 1 MPa. So modulus of elasticity is 2 into 10 to the power 5 MPa. And the Poisson ratio is 0.3. So these physical properties are mentioned in IS 800/2007, clause number 2.2.4.1 and on page number 12. So you check this property given in IS 800/2007. So these properties are required to design the steel structures. Next we discuss about the chemical and structural properties of steel. So you know that steel is basically alloy which mainly contains iron. Iron means the Fe. The symbol of iron is Fe. Then we add carbon, and also apart from carbon, some percentage of manganese we add, some percentage of silicon, then phosphorus, nickel, coppers are added to achieve the desired strength. To get the strength, some percentage of this manganese, silicon, phosphorus, nickel, copper are added. Okay, so it mainly contains iron, and we add carbon to get the ductility, to increase the ductility or to increase the strength. Now you see that different type of steels are available, like carbon steel, which are mainly used in civil engineering structures. Another type of steel, that is high strength carbon steel. Here we basically, so in carbon steel, what we consider in what are the chemical composition? We in this type of structural steel we add carbon, then manganese. We are used as a extra element. And also in high strength carbon steel we increase the carbon content, because as I have said, if I reducing the carbon percentage, then the ductility is increased but strength is less. So in high strength carbon steel the carbon amount is increased, so uh, steel which basically produce steel with comparatively higher strength, but sorry, you wait. So in stainless steel also one type of steel. So mainly the carbon steels are used as a structural steel. High strength steel also in few cases, in few structures, this type of steels are used. Another type of steel is stainless steel. So most common type of steel is carbon steel. Now the some important property which are frequently used in design of steel structures. Uh, so the yield stress, you know. So when so after yield point, the member is the material is inelastic. Up to yield stress, the material is elastic, and uh, beyond yield stress, material is inelastic. Now another stress is ultimate stress, where the maximum capacity, maximum stresses developed in material, that is ultimate stress, and which is designated by F suffix U. U is the ultimate and Y is the yield stress. Another point is the minimum percentage of elongation. So uh, these properties, so the above these properties are obtained uh, by performing tensile test of steel sample. So if I take a steel samples and the tensile test is performed, then we will get we can get the yield stresses, which is the yield load by area of cross section, then ultimate stress, the maximum stresses developed in material member, that is called ultimate, and the minimum percentage of elongation. So which is defined as elongation between the gauge point, the specimen length, okay, the gauge point minus gauge length into 100 by gauge length. Okay, so this is the percentage of elongation. This is expressed in percentage. The elongation minus the actual length, change in length by original length. This is a change in length. This is a change in length total. The difference between elongation and minus actual, which is a change in length by actual length into 100. Okay, we will get percentage of elongation, and the above property we can get using the tensile test. Next, the stress strain diagram of carbon steel, which this type of steel has is more ductile but less strength, and also you see that up to this point the material is obey Hooke's law, or it is linear up to this point, up to yield point. Uh, so it means the if I release load, it come back to the original length. There is no permanent deformation. Okay, So the corresponding stress is, so this stress strain diagram is plotted by performing the tensile test. So where the tensile load is applied and the and we are increasing load and corresponding deformations will get from the deformation uh, dial gauge. So we'll get so the load by the area, we are getting the stress F value, which is F, and the deformations we get from dial gauge, deformation dial gauge. So this is strain, which is the change in length by original length. So the strain we compute, then the stress we compute. Now we plot stress strain diagram. Strain is plotted on x-axis and stress is plotted on y-axis. So stress strain is plotted. So you see that after reaching the yield point, when we increase the load, the large deformation took place. I mean the large strain occurred, and if I release load, suppose at this point if I release load, then we will get a permanent deformation, okay, which is not recoverable. Okay, we cannot get this actual length. This deformation remain after releasing the load. But whereas in elastic portion, that there is no there is no permanent deformation. Okay, so so we are getting the permanent deformation. So here we are getting the ultimate strain. So after ultimate strain, after reaching the ultimate strain, you see that the stress strain diagram again it is fall downward, and finally the rupture occurs. So this is a rupture strain, this is the ultimate strain, and this one is yield strain. Next, we plot the stress strain diagram of high strength carbon steel, where the percentage of carbon is more than low carbon steel, and so the ductility is less, but strength is high. So you see that here there is no there is no clear yield point. Okay, so there is no clear yield point. So here the curve shape, and how we get the modulus of elasticity. So we are just taking the offset from this linear portion, take offset at 0.002% strain. We consider a offset, and the parallel line is drawn which intersect the stress strain diagram, and we will get the modulus of elasticity, the corresponding stress. This stress is the yield stress. We are getting the yield stress, where so this is for high strength carbon steel, and the slope of this line is called modulus of elasticity. Okay, which is the vertical coordinate by y coordinate by axis base. Okay. The test is carried out. So you see that here the tensile load is applied cross sectional area. Okay. Now the mechanical properties which are required, and these properties we get by performing tensile test, and you see that this is a type 1 standard structural steel, and it is designated by FE 410 and A. Fe means the iron, Fe stands for iron, then 410 is the ultimate tensile strength, and A is the, so after this number the letter is mentioned. So this A, B, C indicate the grade of steel, and the W is given. W means the weldability, okay, denotes the steel is weldable, whether the steel is weldable or not, whether the welding is performed or not, whether this steel is capable for welding or not. So that we understand by letter W. Now you see that this is a designation. Fe is the iron, 410 is the ultimate tensile strength, A is the grade, and W is the weldable. And it depends on the thickness. You see that if the thickness is less than 20, then we get 250 yield strength. If the thickness is more than 20 to 40, then we will get less yield strength. If it is more than 40, then we get more less yield strength. Similarly, the high tensile strength also, the ultimate tensile strength and yield strength. And one thing you note, the most commonly used grade is Fe 410. So this grade is commonly used, Fe 410 AW. Okay. Now the reference given in IS 800/2007, page number 14, in table 1, the different grade of steels are written, grade of steels are mentioned. So you see that yield stress, you see that 410 WA. W means the weldable, whether steel is weldable or not. The A is the type of steel, grade of steel, Fe iron, and the 410 is the ultimate tensile strength. And this is expressed in MPa, means the 410 MPa. And the percentage of elongation, it is also required when we design the steel members, because this elongation, depending on the percentage of elongation, we are measuring the ductility of the structures. So this elongation is required, particularly when we design the steel members for impact load, is the in breeze, or for earthquake load. So this elongation is, or for wind, this elongation is required, because to resist this type of impact forces as well as the lateral forces, steel should have more ductile, then it will then the efficiency is better to withstand load. Next, the few important structural properties which are required in design. What are the important properties? Like ductility. So ductility means what? Ductility means the ability of material to change its shape without fracture. So it means if the metal is ductile, so it means it has large inelastic deformation, and when you release the load without significant loss of strength and stiffness, it can come back to the original shape. So this property is required, and the steel has unique property, unique ductility. So, so this ductility is required when you design the members. And the point is the mild steel is high ductile, whereas the high carbon steel has ductility is less. And the toughness means this is defined as the energy absorbed by the material before fracture is called toughness. So toughness basically required like the earthquake load. If the machine load comes, it's a vibratory load. I mean, in bridge, the vibration is produced. So to resist the vibration or withstand the vibration, such type of impact load, the structure should the toughness should be more. So this toughness should so the good toughness are required. Another is to require both strength and ductility. At low temperature, steel fails on impact loading due to reduction in ductility. Temperature, at high temperature, when the temperature rises, so at that time the strength is also reduced. The corrosion, you know that the corrosion steel may be corroded if the paintings are not done. So regular painting are required to prevent the corrosion, and also so this maintenance is required. Another is the harness. So you know that this toughness we can get by the Charpy test, IJOT test. This is a type of test. So using that test we can get the toughness of material. You can get the toughness of steel, and also the hardness. Hardness is the resistance against indentation and scratching. So this hardness we can measure using Brinell hardness and Rockwell hardness test. So this number by number we understand the hardness of the metal. Then fatigue basically produced due to cyclic loading. Okay, so which is the fatigue happened in bridge because the moving load, due to the moving loads the vibration increases. Next I'm going to discuss the steel section, structural steel section, which are used in steel structure and also which are available in market. So using these available section, you design the steel members. So what are the sections and how you get this section? Using this reference code. Using that code you can get a sectional properties. So what are the different sections that I am going to discuss? You see that steel is rolled to a required shape during fabrication. The commonly available sections are I section, then the T section, then channel section, then angles. This is the angle section. Steel bars, tubes, plate, sheets, strips, and you can use structural engineering handbook or steel table for sectional details. So we can get the sectional details for different type of sections. You see that these are the common steel members like T-bars. So you see that the shape of the T-bars, then L angle shape, bar, then the hollow sections, hollow square section or rectangular, then this one is I section, this is a white flange section, this is a channel section, now the specification of I section. Basically the I section is designated by ISJB, means the Indian Standard Junior Beam. So lower section, then ISLB, Indian Standard Light Beam, then ISMB, Indian Standard Medium Beam, then ISWB, Indian Standard White Flange Beam, and last Indian Standard Heavy Beam. So these type of beams are available, and when we design members, so using those sections we have to design. So basically the I section mainly used in girder, in beam, in column, etc. So you see that this is a rolled steel I section, and the sectional properties are given in SP6 1964. So basically the I section is designated by ISMB, Indian Standard Medium Beam, then 500. 500 means this value indicate the depth of beam, and this value indicate the weight per meter length, per unit length. So you see that this is a flange portion, flange, this portion is wave. So you see that this I section is symmetric about both axes, means this one is the major axis and this one is minor axis. Okay, minor axis. Why it is minor axis? Because about that axis we are getting the least moment of inertia, and about that axis, why it is called major axis? Because about that axis we are getting the maximum moment of inertia. That's why it is called major axis and minor axis. So this is symmetric. This is a flange. Thickness of flange is denoted by T suffix F. T, then suffix F. Then this thickness, this is called wave part, this vertical one, and this is denoted by TW, thickness of wave, and this is flange width. Okay, so here we by 500 we understand the depth of beam. 500 is the depth of beam and the weight per unit length, and the properties given in 1964. So this is a shape of I section, which is basically a factory product, and you can this is a real I beams which are used in beam as well as column. And another important point I'd like to say, basically you see that at the flange end the depth is minimum, whereas at the end at the wave the flange depth is maximum, and it is parabolically this is a curve shape. Basically you see that when the load is transferring, so the load transfer from flange, the load is acting on flange, so from flange load transfer to the wave. So here you see that this is a cantilever portion, from wave to this part cantilever. So here the minimum depth used, so minimum depth is used, and here the it is maximum. So it is parabolic, it is parabolically, I mean it is on curve shape, because it is not like this. In this way it is not. Okay, so it is, the actual pattern is the curve shape. So why it is curve shape? Because to reduce the stress concentration, because when the stresses is accumulated in this portion, if I simply simply if I drop the section, then the stress concentration is high and the local failure may take place. So that's why this one is curve shape, to gradually the stresses is reducing, so stress concentration is less, because here the maximum stress concentration is developed. So to reduce the stress concentration, the curve shapes are used. I think you understand. So you see that beam column construction. So in beam column construction in RC frame building, the I sections are widely used. Then rolled steel channel section. So similarly, this type of channel section is designated by ISLC, means the Indian Standard Lower Channel, Indian Standard Medium Channel. Okay, the special Indian Standard Special Channel. So ISMC designated by 300. So this value indicate the depth of channel, and the weight is 0.351 kilonewton meter. So you see that this is a taper shape, and it is the wave, I mean the flange depth is maximum at the wave, because this one is a cantilever part. So at the end the moment is maximum, so that's why more depth is required. And you see that this is a curved shape to reduce the stress concentration. Okay, so that the stress is gradually reduced, not suddenly. If the suddenly happened, then the stress concentration is high and the local failure may take place. So local means in this region the failure take place. So the depth of wave part, and you see that this is symmetric about major axis, but it is unsymmetric about minor axis. So this is a few type of channel section, so that I have shown you. I am showing this real channel section which are used in steel structure. Now you see that another type of section, the steel angle section. So this angle section is designated by its leg and thickness. So this is a thickness, this is a leg size, leg size. So this angle section has two legs, it consists of two legs. This is a horizontal leg and the vertical leg. If the two legs are equal, then the angle section called equal angle section, and the 12 means the 12 is the thickness. And whereas the another unequal angle section, when the leg size are different, so such type of angle section is called unequal angle section. You see that one leg size is 150 mm, another leg size is 115 mm and 12. So it is so again here to reduce the stress concentration, the curve shape used. This is a leg thickness, leg size. This is also another leg size. This is a root radius and the angle of root and the radius of root. So these sectional properties are given in SP6 handbook, structural handbook. So the angle section are widely, massively used in electrical transmission tower. Okay, these all are the angle sections are used. Similarly, the rolled T section, the Indian standard normal beam, Indian standard heavy beam, Indian standard special legged, Indian standard light beam. Again, here the to reduce the stress concentration, again the curve shapes. So here the curve shapes. Here the curve shapes given. The shape is curved. So to reduce the stress concentration, and the fillet portion and this flange portion, the taper flange portion, and it is symmetric about this axis with the y axis, and this is unsymmetric about x axis. This is unsymmetric about x axis, symmetric about y axis. Other section, the steel bars, the round bars sometimes used, sometimes square bars are used, steel tubes are used, steel plates are used. Okay, so generally in your syllabus we are using the angle section, channel section, then eye sections, then plate, we are using the plate. So those sections are used. Here the tube sections are not in your syllabus. Similarly, the square section, round bars are not used in are not in your syllabus. So only these sections we use in steel structures. So these are the braced frame. As I have said, this type of bracing, these are the bracing, and you see that this is a K type of bracing are used to resist the lateral forces. I mean to minimize the earthquake effect, and so the bracings are done basically. These are the some pylon, means the electrical transmission tower. Here the knee bracings are done. Another type of bees, suspension, cable state, that we already discussed, we have already explained. So the different type of sections are available. So which section we have to choose? So that is depend on designer. So this section governed by sectional properties and availability. The sections are popular in India. The ISMB section, then ISMC section, channel section, equal angle, and the channels are used in purlin, T and angles are used in trusses, I section used in beams and column. You see that this is the one trusses where you see that these seat are placed over the purlin. These are the purlins, and these are the rafter. This one is called gut. Okay, you see that this is a end wall gut. This is a side gut. These are the purlins. This is a rafter. Okay, and the load is transferring from purlin to rafter, then rafter transfer the load to the this member, and finally load goes to the through column to foundation. This is called roof cladding. Is a seats cover. Roofs are covered by seats, which is called roof cladding. Okay, so here I finish my class, and in next class I shall discuss about the design methodology and the different load, about the load, and so here I finish my lecture. Thank you.